about books is that you only really need to write one to be considered to be a great writer. Until last year, To Kill a Mockingbird was the only book that Harper Lee ever published. One book in 89 years. To be fair, that book did win the Pulitzer Prize and sold over 40 million copies, so she didn't really need to do another one, did she? Hey, Harper, you going to write another book? Nah. Did you read the first one? Nailed it! Nailed it! I'm just doing the one. Just doing the one. Imagine if I did that, came up here, told one joke and then stared at you for 58 minutes. You going to tell another joke? No. Did you hear the first one? Nailed it! I'm just doing the one. There's not many jobs where you can just do the one, is there? Just writers and suicide bombers. It's hard to do two of those. Or maybe UFC fighters that get punched in the head so hard in their first bout that cerebral fluid trickles out of their eye sockets. Oh, that's Randy. It happens. It's pretty much the perfect example of why we're sort of festering in this evolutionary cul-de-sac, isn't it? Welcome to planet Earth. There's approximately 7 billion of us. As you can see, there's quite a few of us that don't have any clean drinking water. Oh, here's a large group of us that get paid millions of dollars to knee each other in the face. So, obviously still ironing out a few of the kinks. Martial arts, mixed or otherwise, should not be the domain of fat-necked ruffians trying to stomp on each other's ball sacks. Just as yoga should not be taught by 22-year-old gym instructors that did a one-week yoga retreat in Bali and now get around in low-slung fisherman pants with a bindi and a plait talking about mindfulness like they've ever had any life experience at all. I'm sorry, you can tell me to relax and centre myself when you spend maybe 10 or 15 years considering what that actually means. Until then, go back to taking photos of the froth on your coffee and shut the f*** up. And I'm torn because I do yoga. I buy organic vegetables. I blindly sign internet petitions without reading the fine print, give myself a good old pat on the back and return to downloading hardcore. I'm trying to be a good Buddhist, I'm trying. But it's even difficult to identify as Buddhist in the current climate without coming across as some sort of new age pompous just dipping his toe into the what does it all mean kiddie pool while holding a beer in one hand, a cigarette in the other, and staring lecherously across the backyard at your cousin's. Geez, Tamara's grown up since last Christmas, hasn't she? And I mean, Buddha was just a dude who found enlightenment sometime around the 5th century, and he decided to stick around and talk about it, you know? But he made it clear that everything's optional, I guess. You know, here's the thing I've discovered. I think it's pretty nifty, but you can find your own way through it. He was kind of like a benevolent woodwork teacher, just overseeing the workshop, but allowing his students to discover for themselves which machine is most likely to cut their head off. It was that one, Gareth. Well done. A+, matey. A+ for you. And there's been loads of other Buddhas since, right? But they haven't necessarily felt the calling to stick around and talk about it, I guess. They just become enlightened and off. I think that's fantastic. But are you only enlightened if you're able to share it with people? You know? If I write a book and nobody reads it, is it still art? What is the collective noun for monkeys? Seriously, does anybody know what it is? I was trying to think of it all day. Anybody? What? Gang? Gang of monkeys. Come and join my gang of monkeys. We're a little gang of monkeys. It's not gang. Anybody else? If you come up with something stupid, I'll sing a dumb song about it. What else? What is it? Oh, you people are Does anybody know what it is? It's not barrel, by the way. It's troop. What did you say, gang? What's your name? Who said gang? Where are you? Victoria! How are you, Victoria?
Great.
Thanks for coming to my show. Hey, Victoria, riddle me this, my sister. Have you read Go Set a Watchman, Harper Lee's new book?
No.
No. Has anybody read it?
Yeah.
Half. That is the best book review ever. I read half. Has anybody read To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yeah.
Yes, we read it at school. F*** off. For those of you who haven't, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Go Set a Watchman was the Harper Lee book that came out last year, right? And if you don't know the backstory, all right, I'll just fill you in. Victoria, listen up. Basically, Harper Lee, right? So Harper Lee, she had a stroke in 2007, and until she died earlier this year, she was in like assisted care. She was in a wheelchair, she was deaf and she was blind. And her sister Alice had been taking care of all of her affairs until Alice died in 2014 at the age of 103, like a boss. Anyway, before Alice died, she was pretty much the last line of defence between Harper and this lawyer that had just sort of been loitering in the wings, right? And when Alice died, this lawyer just happened to discover the manuscript for Go Set a Watchman in the locked safety deposit box in an obscure vault in a random bank where it had been busy minding its own business for the last 56 and a half years. And according to the lawyer, Harper was delighted that the manuscript was discovered and suddenly reversed her lifelong vow to never, ever, ever publish another book ever, ever again, particularly not Go Set a Watchman, which she actually wrote before To Kill a Mockingbird and didn't think was very good. Other people think that maybe the lawyer was attempting to get filthy rich by brutally fist an 89-year-old stroke victim. But the question is... The question is, if To Kill a Mockingbird had have stayed in that vault alongside this newly discovered manuscript, would it still technically be a work of literary genius? Or is it only once something's been evaluated by the world and possibly someone's made some cash off it that it's considered to be valid artistic expression? Is art only art once it's been witnessed, acknowledged? If I don't take a bow at the end of this show, does it devalue the performance? Will you feel unsatisfied or rejected? I recently read that book, The Pleasures and Sorrows of Work, by Alain de Botton, and in it he says, we might consider art as anything which pushes our thoughts in important yet neglected directions. Now, I'd like to consider what I do artistic expression, but that sort of poses the question, do people really need their thoughts pushed in the direction of old ladies being brutally fist? Is that my artistic legacy? Is that what I'm going to leave behind? You know, oh, Randy, he was the old lady fisting guy, wasn't he? Yeah, very droll, yeah. Because Ernest Hemingway is remembered more for his literary talents than for being an insufferable with a penchant for killing and cheating on his multiple wives. Does his artistic legacy outshine his tactless and unfortunate personal life? Is it better to be a mindful human that leaves no palpable remnants of artistry behind, or a violently unlikable sexual deviant that handfuls of heartbreakingly beautiful sonnets and sonatas out of his before brunch? Because it's the image of the tortured, self-destructive artist that prevails 9 times out of 10. Amy Winehouse was just a girl that wanted to sing some songs. Do you know what I mean? So, should I just keep my mouth shut and try to navigate towards enlightenment, leaving behind an intangible trail of good deeds? Or do I dive deeper and deeper into the inky black ocean of self-destruction and self-indulgence until I nail my chosen art form, leaving an echo for the eternal wonderment of countless future generations that will just breeze over my personality? It's what's keeping me up in the night times. Yeah.